find out what happened to that kid that the
When they did your work?
Yeah.
That performed your poem?
Oh, he placed, I think he placed third in the contest. He placed third. He went to the finals and he placed third. It was, I don't know who was crying more, him or me, because when he saw me, he was like, he didn't know that I was going to be there. So when he saw me, he like sort of slumped back in his chair and everybody started laughing. I was like, what's wrong with him? And he jumped up, he's like, you don't remember me, do you? And I was like, I think I do. He looked familiar and he held up the book. And he said, you spoke at such and such different, the place where I spoke. He ran it off and he said, you'll never guess what's going on. I said, sure I do. It's an oratorical contest. He said, no, sir, I'm reading a poem from your book. And when he did it and he finished it, it was like LeBron James after yesterday's game. He was so exhausted. He was mentally drained because he was trying so hard to do the piece as powerful as he said that I would do it, but putting his own stamp on it. He didn't try to mimic or imitate me, but he wanted to deliver the passion that was in the piece. And when I saw it, I tried so hard not to cry in front of a bunch of middle school kids. and when it was over, you know, I just had to give him a hug because, I mean, that is unlike, I've never experienced that in my life. And that's what makes this so rewarding. When you know that what you're doing and what you're saying can touch somebody's life. And I think everyone who has a story to tell is in some way, shape, or form a poet. And one of the things I try not to do is to participate in poetry contests. And the reason for that, Cheryl convinced me to do it one time, and it was because of Cheryl's vision. Cheryl's vision said, do it for the exposure. I was like, Cheryl, I don't compete, because I don't believe in competing with soul pen. I call poetry your soul pen. It's the pen of your soul. And who am I to say that your soul and the value of your soul does not measure to someone else's? So, but Cheryl convinced me to do it, and I did it, and I sort of felt good that I didn't place. I was like, you know, there were 3 places and I came in 4th. So it kind of gave me some sort of peace about it, because it basically said, you didn't come in to compete, so now you're not even in the competition. But it gave me an opportunity to get the word out. And certain people saw me there and asked me for information, got my card, and it led to other speaking engagements. So that's just me. But he placed 3rd, and I was so proud of him. I was so proud of him.
What is that book club that you mentioned that you
Well, there are different book clubs. I just happen to be in a book club with just different friends, you know. And one of the things I would suggest is that you can form book clubs with neighbors, co-workers, people at your church, and people who share a like mind, people who share a like interest. And what you do, you just get together once a month, you choose a book, and you just read. And once you read the book, everyone comes back at the end of the month, and we discuss the book. You know, and it's a stretch for some men. Most, you know, a lot of men, you know, people always ask me, well, why don't you ask some of your male friends to come out? Well, a lot of my male friends come to the book club just to see what nice-looking women are there. And then when they find out that everybody there is either married or not interested, then they're like, oh, I don't know if I'll come back.
The book club.
Exactly. So one of the things that...
Well, I'm single and I'll go if there are going to be none there.
But you can start your own book club. You can start a book club at your job, at your job, in your neighborhood. You can even sponsor or promote like a book club or a creative writing club with the children in your community. You can basically say who wants to be involved in this. And one of the things I'm realizing is that poetry is taking off. Poetry is now being included as a major part of creating writer curriculum in the school system. So a lot of the creative writing curriculum, a large part of that curriculum involves poetry. And the students now are having poetry slams and poetry contests, and they're really getting into it. And then with the emergence of Def Poetry Jam, it's actually given the diversity of poetry a national face. So when young kids and students see you can do poetry on HBO, it's like, wow, then this thing must really be serious. You know? And it's sad that it had to take HBO to show kids that it's cool to write. It's cool to write, and it's a struggle for some young people, but it's still a blessing once they do what they've created and they have it and they're excited about it.
Yeah.
So.
And it's a healing. It can be a healing
Very
cathartic
therapeutic.
outlet, and it's very powerful. I did want to let everybody know that what you have coming up next.
Well, in October, right?
Fall.
In the fall. We're shooting for fall 07. The new book, Neither Preacher Nor Prophet, is the book. And it will be a culmination of, it's a three-pronged approach. The first angle is spoken word poetry. And actually the second book is taking on a more spiritual base. One of the things I definitely wanted to do with the next book was to speak a lot more from the Spirit in reference to God. I do that in this book, but the next book has more spiritual pieces. I have pieces about the piece that I actually did at my friend's grandmother's grave is in that book. It's called Salute to Grandma. And a lot of different things, a lot of pieces that I've performed at churches. Then the second part is the motivational speeches that I do in written form. So many times when you do a motivational speech or you do an address, they give you like 5 or 10 minutes. If those who know me know I can't even say my name in 5 minutes. So this has given me an opportunity to include that in the book and give a full devotion to the certain points that I wanted to address. And then the last part is commentary. It's commentary about a lot of the issues that we talk about in the first book, such as community building, spirituality, relationships, just a lot of different political commentaries. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. It's going to be fall 07, Neither Preacher Nor Prophet. Also, I have a performance DVD. It's called New Poet in Town. Grab it right there. It's called New Poet in Town, and it has parts of poetry performances as well as motivational speeches on the DVD. And I was really excited about doing this. A friend of mine told me about a three-pronged approach to delivering poetry, and he was saying that you can take your content and deliver it 3 ways. For people who don't want to hear it, they can read it. For people who don't want to read it, they can watch it. For people who don't want to watch nor read it, can listen to it. So pretty soon a CD will be in the works.
Yeah,
a CD will be in the works. But I'm excited, and I just wanted to thank Cheryl, Catherine Wash, and Chris Gilligan, Ebony Energy again for all the work that they've done in supporting me. Every time that they need me for something, I'm there. Every time I show up, they've been nothing but just professional and courteous and very supportive. And you need people like that when things aren't. When times are hard, and sometimes you'll go out and you'll be at a poetry show and it's not as crowded as you wanted it to be, or the crowd isn't as receptive as you want it to be. It's imperative to have people who support you and say, hey, it's okay. Next week we've got this.
Right.
Next week we're selling there. So that's what I appreciate about Cheryl and Chris, is that they constantly stay on me. They constantly say, okay. Chris called me and was like, okay, what's up with the second book? Mm-hmm. And I was already working on it, but I wasn't working on it as fast. So thank you, Chris.
And we all need support.
She gave that little fire up under me and said, look, this is the date, make it happen. And I've been just I've been working on it ever since. So I'm excited about it, and it's what I needed, because I can, like you said, I can see it at the end just like that. But even then it's surreal, because it's been 3 years. It still hasn't set in that I'm a published author. And I know it sounds, very Academy Awards, but it still hasn't set in that my name and my words are on something that's being distributed throughout the country. That is unbelievable. So I'm grateful. I thank God every day for the blessings and just the work and the support that I've gotten from Ebony Energy. And I thank you for having me on Zesty Life.
My pleasure. Thanks for joining us, and have a great evening.